Oh,
Okay.
So I can grab it, I'll head over there.
Thanks. Thank you. Where you sitting, Jessica?
It's just gonna be on the days. If there's no seat.
I think there is. I have two chairs in my office. We can bring one out.
Oh, you want me to grab it?
Well, I think it's just you, Mike, and Chris are the last. Mike Dunaway can't come and Diane won't be here either.
So is it, can we, Chad, since Mike, can we vote him in as vice chair tonight?
yeah, that's
That's
a
a-
great idea. Let's
Yeah.
go. Why he's going.
That is a.
Why stop at vice chair?
It was, I felt a typo on my part. I said we only had an open VPC.
Well, we'll see what the nomination say.
You know, I was told that Kalen was the board chair prior to his term with city council.
I'm no Kalen, never believe.
Oh, you'll
It's
be
hard
there
to say,
sometime.
I'm sure.
You can do that.
Mike, how's everything going?
Not bad.
Good.
Much better week.
All right,
Feeling good.
good.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Nice shirt.
Thank you.
I'm very jealous of their meetings. I went for just a little while and I went, this is so.
Thank you over there. Well, thank you over the city.
When I'm through with my term, I'm taking a break. It's been so hard these last year and 6 months.
Yeah, it's kind of
Really contentious on so many levels.
yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, you're.
I'm doing something. So it's been a busy day.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah, everything's ready to go. Just Chris.
Oh,
Is Diane joining online or not?
she's not at all.
Neither one will be available at all. Really?
Billy, did you
Why?
put it in the comment folder? I can do that right now. What do we need, the
Yes, thank
agenda
you.
and the board
Yeah,
packet?
here.
The board packet.
We can share.
So if you need me to
In a
share.
minute, I can spend that, I can take more attention.
Me.
If there's someplace you want it in the comment board meeting.
Yeah, just looking.
Did you try again?
Okay, it's just in the
Yeah, I
twenty
didn't
twenty-four
get the final
file,
print.
there is a.
Oh.
For the 6/18 meeting, yeah.
I forgot my reading glasses. I am functioning on a limited.
There's not ones on your head?
Allergies.
Okay.
So. No, I was on the phone when I left. I'm stupid. Don't, you should never multitask. Here I am. I'm pretty jealous of Jacques.
Yeah,
Didn't that sound fun?
sounds amazing.
What's his?
They're in Africa.
Oh, yeah?
East Africa, where he
grew up
He's a
there,
turkey
didn't he?
right now.
Oh, yes,
He's a
oh.
Turkey and then Africa.
So he did some of his growing up there.
Mm-hmm.
They're with
So they've
his
been-
father and.
Swahili, isn't that what they speak?
Yeah,
He's been relearning how, yeah, he and his daughter have been working on getting that up and running.
Cool. Now we just start anyway.
Yeah, everything's going. It's recording my live streaming.
Well, I will call this meeting to order of the Canyonlands Solid Waste Authority, also known as the Solid Waste Special Service District #1. at 4:08 PM on this Juneteenth, the new federal holiday. So happy Juneteenth, everybody. Maybe next year we should not have our meeting on Juneteenth.
Yes, I felt bad when I realized.
See, present are board members Mary McGann, Colin Topper, and myself, Chad Harris, also staff, Jessica, Mike, Chris, and Lily. And Nick is joining us virtually. First order of business is citizens input. Are there any citizens to be heard?
There's no room waiting, let's see, there's none in the waiting room and I haven't seen any emails.
Okay. Great. Let's move on to item A. Review and approval of April 24th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 24th, 2024.
Thank you, Mary.
Second that.
Thank you, Colin. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Mary,
Yes.
Colin,
Yes.
Chad votes yes. Motion passes 3-0. Item B, action item review and approve. Oh, yeah, April and May 2024 financials. This is you.
It is me. I believe Jessica will be sharing this for viewers online. But starting with April expenses, oh, I guess we're starting actually. Yeah, so this is a typo. So they were lower in April than in March. Let's see. But payroll, forgive me, I'm reading this. It's been a bit of a long time. So payroll expenses are actually higher in April than March. Wages were about $3,000 more than they were. And the month of March did not have an insurance premium payment. So that's about $30,000. So that with wages being about $3,000 more accounts for the $34,000 higher between the months. Operational expenses were less in April than they were in March, and March was less than February. February was a really big expense month for the district. March did have a large expense of the mulch chipping that we pay once a year of $24,000. Fuel expenses have been comparable month to month. And let's see, there were also some payments that were invoiced in 2023, but we didn't receive them until April of 2024, and they were paid. Repairs and maintenance was up. It was about $24,000 in April as opposed to $6,000 in March. Again, it's hard to tell when things are invoiced when we receive it. It's sort of this cycle that we're in. And there was also a large equipment payment in March for the annual loan for the Cat D7, and that was almost $60,000. So, you know, while it was still big, February is just a huge month. So it's been coming down. So the total expenditures for April were $352,651.65. And then there is an Excel spreadsheet in the board packet that goes through every expense listed. Are there any questions about April? All right, moving on to May. So May was a big month with our bi-weekly payroll. We had 3 payrolls in May. And so May expenses were almost double than April. One of the main reasons was also we finally made a payment to the PTIF fund. Again, ideally in a perfect world, we would be making that $108,000 payment every month. But looking at the history in QuickBooks, that hasn't been reality for a while. It's been when we have money. So the beginning of the year has a lot of payments. And then, you know, when we have more revenue in the summer, when it's busier is when we tend to make more deposits to the PTIF fund. Payroll expenses were about $250,000 higher in April. Payroll has been holding steady at about $103,000 bi-weekly for the last 5 payrolls, so 10 weeks. So that includes the URS retirement funds, which is also expensive. But why it was so much more was we had 3 payrolls rather than the normal 2 per month. We also had 2 insurance premium payments. So April's check wasn't received or wasn't deposited till May. Same with May's payment. So those 2 months were both paid in that month. There was also an additional URS contribution payment from April payroll that was made in May. And I also transferred $50,000 to the money market account to save, you know,
Wow.
yeah. So that's been really good. I mean, it's not me, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
things in the district I've been able to put a little bit more away. And operational expenses were $183,000 higher than April, but again, we had been on this kind of downslope in expenses and then it came up again. The PTIF fund was one of that. Fuel expenses were slightly more. Repairs and maintenance were very comparable between the month, but yeah, we did have a large expense for rentals for the large roll-off truck. And so that is paying for the truck rental, but also paying a subcontractor that we subcontracted out to is that $18,000. We also had a baler repair. We had some catch-up payments, just invoices that hadn't been received for IT work, as well as new computers that were purchased in an attempt to use AMCS. And then we had to pay to remove some things at the Thompson, and again, another large payment to Cap Financial. So within the expenditures were $787,305.97. Any questions on May? Is Nick trying to talk? Nick, you're muted if you're trying to.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lily. I would entertain, is there a motion, Colin?
Should we wait till Mary is
I
back?
suppose we could. Yeah.
Um,
Can we continue with the agenda and then circle back to this? Or,
certainly okay with me.
Sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's move on.
Before we do that, the $29,000 cat, I kind of want to get that out there that even though we haven't been putting the set aside away every month, we've been able to pay some of those expenses out of pocket.
Okay.
So we don't have to put quite as much into the PTIF. If you count the equipment that we paid for out of operations with the, did you 3 or 4 payments to PTIF now?
I believe it's 4,
Or
that one is still in transit.
right, one's on the way. We're closer to setting aside 5 months worth. So it's more like we're 1 to 1.5 months behind.
Okay.
So we're making a little,
Yeah, great.
pulling it back down a little bit. So,
Feeling much more doable, and
Yes.
I sent Mike an email, if you're gonna go over these numbers, that's great, but we paid cash for things that are normally paid for by the PTIF fund. Because I didn't know any better and because we had cash, or we made it work to have cash, so that's about 150,000. So far this year that we've paid cash for that we haven't had to pull from the PTIF fund.
Okay.
So that's, like a payment and a half right there.
does that sum it up well, Nick?
Yeah, the whatever you can pay out of operating funds, then does lessen the requirement going into PTIF. Is again, the big chunk that's in that the PTIF we're saving up for is the bond payments. You got the principal and interest every May, and then you got interest only in November. So we'll continue to monitor where we are in terms of putting away money for that next May's bond payment.
So it's a baby step, but it's a
Yeah.
positive step, definitely.
Absolutely.
I just wanted, well, we were talking about it.
And can I wrap both those months into one motion?
You wanna do the math? Yes. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
or I think I have it on the recommended motion.
You do.
you did.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the expenditures for the month of April 2024 in the amount of $352,651.65. And the expenditures, 1 sec here, for the month of May 2024 in the amount of $787,305.97.
Second.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Mary. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Colin?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Chad votes yes, motion passes 3-0. Moving on, item C, staff reports. Mike, looks like you're at the top of the list.
Alrighty. I always start with just giving you a breakdown on how things are going, the general feel. Past 2 months have been a little trying. There was one point I felt beaten. We had some internal issues. Everyone was getting hot and bothered. The pressure was getting to us. It got to me a little bit more than it should have, I'll be honest. But, I mean, the city contract, the call-in date for the bond, the truck issues, the AMCS issues, it got a little overwhelming, but we're finishing on some positive notes, several positive notes. So I feel 85% better than I did 2 weeks ago. So overall, and we are making, there's still baby steps, but we're still making positive strides. So I'm trying to remind myself that as well as everyone else. The city contract, we'll be talking about that and discussing a vote on that in a little bit. This greatly concerned me because I was very, very nervous about needing that revenue to possibly refinance the bond. We needed to, you have to have a ratio of 1.25 to cover it, and I wasn't sure we were gonna be there. It didn't get here like I pictured or imagined or would have wanted it, this vote on the contract. Obviously, it's a little strange that the city voted on it before we did. But the change in city administrators threw a wrench into it. It did on their side and on our side a little bit. But once they got through their city budget, David really stepped it up and tried to help us get it through. So I appreciate his efforts. When we got his attention, we definitely had his attention. So that helped. We'll talk more about that when it comes around. The no glass and the single stream will be moving forward, effective July 1st. Decals have been ordered to put on all the carts as a reminder to the homeowners. There's a handful of commercial accounts that this is going to affect. Taverns, some of the busier restaurants that produce a lot of glass. It's going to change the amount of trash service they need unless they would volunteer to take it to the CRC themselves. Or, it's not gonna be, several of them, I'm sure are not gonna be real happy about it. Because it is gonna increase their trash service, but we don't have many options at this time. We discussed trying to come up with options, pilot programs, whatnot. I would love to do some of this. We simply don't have the drivers or the trucks. We're still short at least one CDL driver of what I would call the minimum. So I'm very, very reluctant to try any pilot programs of picking up the glass by itself.
Well, I wonder if we could put it out there that we would like, that we are open to ideas. The issue is cost and equipment and personnel. So if the businesses put it in their lap, if the businesses would like to get together and figure out a way to, have the glass taken to the recycle center, we would be supportive, but we cannot be supportive with staff and financing. Put it in their lap and they might say, well, we'll get one, have our bus boys put it in the back of the truck and carry it over. I don't know what they could do,
Exactly.
but with that, then it wouldn't be our issue. But it would also maybe motivate them, because a lot of them would go, well, yeah, I would really rather have it go, although it's probably carbon print wise, probably better to just throw it in the trash, but that's just a thought.
Yeah.
I know Diane would like it.
Definitely, that was in her So he definitely wanted it mentioned, to look for options.
I
I
think we should,
will entertain any option that's out there. It just,
I think we just put the boundary that we would really like to have we support having the glass recycled. We just, at this point in our operations, we cannot offer any financial or personnel help in doing that. You know, and then maybe they, you know, if they have the money to pay for us to pay a driver to make that route, then that would be different. That would be up to them.
How do we even do that logistically? Just pick up glass? Oh, we don't, is there any way that we could even do
The
that?
problem is usually how we pick it up, it goes in the rear load and then it gets cycled and then makes a mess. We've in all of our containers, I mean, that's how they pick it up.
it's possible, it would be a mess at times. Glass tends to break, obviously, and with the end use, it really wouldn't matter that it was mixed and that it was crushed because they're turning the majority of it into insulation anyway. But, loading it, unloading it,
Yeah.
you could, if they could come up with some centralized locations, we could pick it up in a rear load. We would make a mess here when we unloaded it, but,
Frank, actually.
well, we could do, you're right. Side load with Frank. It's possible. It's just time consuming and it's another, elderly truck, on the road, which makes us all nervous.
The easiest way is through roll-offs, cause then we can kind of run the roll-off like a dump truck.
Okay.
But then obviously the size and the cost of roll-offs are the limitation.
Okay.
Using the rear load or using the roll-off trucks.
The city is, looking into finding a location for up to 3.
Right.
I told them we could start with 1 and we would need some notice on other ones. Because we'd probably have to order a container for it.
Yeah.
But I know the previous city administrator or deputy was looking into some spots. I have no idea where they're going now.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, but I wonder if some of these businesses that are gonna be really affected by this could offer up some space. You know, I like, but yeah, some of the Bynum properties or Bynum restaurants, there are plenty of parking space downtown.
Does anyone know if there's a restaurant association or
Chamber of
just
Commerce.
Chamber of
Yeah.
Commerce probably? Yeah, that's what I was figuring, but I wasn't sure.
But the travel council probably has the name of every single restaurant in town.
Right.
And their address and their email. So you could probably, if you wanted to contact every restaurant, you could get the information there.
And I think I think it needs to be said that bars and restaurants do have some ability to steer their waste in a certain direction. I mean, restaurant like bars can push draft beers and raise the prices on bottles. You know, there are
They
things
could.
that restaurants can do front of house to, to change their waste stream a little bit.
It's really gonna affect 2 or 3 where they literally have more bottles than they do other trash.
Yeah, Woody's, yeah,
I wasn't gonna name any names, but yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Picking their recycling up.
that, almost all of them have limited space already, I'll be honest with you. But it's possible, it's just a matter of how hard somebody wants to try.
And yeah, I think putting it in their hands,
We can't do it all. We simply can't.
and put it in their hands and they might come up with a wonderful solution.
Absolutely, yeah.
They might, or they might not. But either way, we have, done. And really, glass to haul it is so heavy and so expensive, and it doesn't bring much profit.
Yeah.
Does it really service to recycle glass when we're an island?
Right.
They don't do it in Hawaii.
I agree completely.
And we were the last one in the state to have it in the single stream by a long margin.
So, but
At the previous meeting, I mentioned we were cutting back on days we were open at some of the facilities and the hours. We did put that off till July first, but we are moving forward. The CRC and Moab landfill will be closed on Mondays. So that will be open on Saturdays. We will still be open here on Saturdays, but just till noon, just like we normally do.
And the recycle center would be cut just to noon too, right?
On Saturdays, yes, that won't, no, wait, we're
Or are
changing,
they changing it?
we're changing Saturdays from 8 to noon to 8 to 3 to try to
Wow. great.
balance that a little bit. So we are extending Saturday a couple hours, but we're completely shutting down on Mondays.
Have you gotten much feedback or comments on that? I haven't seen much.
I've gotten some, and
Yeah.
it's all been, oh, I'm glad they gave us notice. That was all, I mean, they were like, oh, okay, I'll change my schedule when I bring the glass. I mean, the recycle, I haven't gotten.
I've heard from Sarah on that, and she's not thrilled about it, but
Definitely,
one person.
Yeah.
we've,
Wow.
Jessica made up a bunch of promotional flyers, handouts.
They look nice.
They're
Jackie.
putting it in the hand when they hand them a ticket at both facilities that, hey, this is coming. We've got whiteboards up at both places saying it's coming.
Great.
We've had some ads. Jessica did a lot of advertising and promotional items, which turned out really well.
That's not the mailer. The mailer? That's just-
Oh, well, that's also tied into the city contract.
Oh, okay.
She's worked up a mailer that we're gonna send out to all residents about the change in the bill and all of that. We're finalizing that with the city before we print it.
No, we've already printed this for hour changes and no glass in single stream.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
already been submitted.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
so it'll just be a postcard. You all should, it's going to every address that has 84532 zip code.
great.
To let them know the change. We thought it was money well spent. Didn't want to, but once again, put it in their hand.
Yeah.
How many people look at their mail? I don't know, but.
Every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Trucks. The month of May was scary. Flat out scary as far as roll off. We were literally one breakdown away from not being able to service roll off customers. As you know, we had to rent a truck for the larger ones, but then we ran into a problem with the smaller roll offs. We were upwards of a week, maybe a little bit longer, we were running a split shift, or what some people call a hot seat. We'd have one driver come in at 4 or 5 in the morning and go till noon or 1. And then he'd hand the keys over to the other driver and he'd go till we could clear the day, basically. Not what you always want to do, especially with older vehicles, but we got through it. The large truck that caught fire several months ago got put back into service this week.
Good.
So that's a good thing. So we will be asking for, we're gonna give it one more day and make sure, but we'll be getting the rental picked up as soon as possible. So we had to rent it for 2 full months, it looks like, barring any problems in the next 48 hours. So we won't have to put out that $8,700 again, which is always good.
And the third big roll-off truck, don't we have a second one that was also in for repairs? What's the status of that?
That's the one that 104 got back. That was the big
Okay.
truck that caught fire.
Okay.
In the past month, we've had one of the smaller roll-offs that the motor seized up on, ran out of oil and is seized up. We'll talk more about that. There's a motion to spend some money, to put it bluntly, but I'll explain that further at that time. You remember the Grand County Attorney's letter, the cease and desist basically for the shooting range? Chad, Chris and myself sat down with Bill Winfield from the county as well as the county attorney, Stephen Stocks. Meeting went really well. It's clear we have a seat at the table. They understand that we might be able to assist in remediating that property, especially if we were to somehow tie it in with the work at Moab. I thought it was very positive. I think it's helping us to open some other doors, some long-term planning. Or at least that's what we're hoping. There's been no follow-up as far as the shooting range. At this point, city's getting some grant money, hopefully to clean that up, and that was what spurred that letter. Unexpected expense, the baler at the CRC, I think close to $12,000 in the last 2 months. In repairs. And we're having some more issues, as of yesterday, I guess, it's not producing the bales as heavy as it should. So we have a pressure issue, which is a little scary because you're talking about cylinders, and cylinders are expensive, and I mean, it's the major part and it's extremely heavy, and you gotta take the whole thing apart to work on it. Not good news there.
Do we? When are you thinking you're going to work on that?
We're trying to get a hold of they were literally just here 2.5, 3 weeks ago. That 12 grand was pretty much all wear parts. These things do wear out, and you've got to replace them, shoes and all kinds of different terms they have. It wasn't bad. It costs to have somebody come here, and it costs to have the part shipped here. So, I mean, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, the repairs were just regular maintenance. It probably should have been done sooner, so it didn't add up. too much.
So then the cylinders is an addition.
Yeah, the current problem is brand new. It should be producing 1,100 to 1,200 pound bales of cardboard, and we're only getting like 700 plus. Doesn't sound like that big a deal, but they really want minimum amounts on each load to make it as efficient as possible and to pay top dollar. If they're only taking this much, then it's gonna cost you this much. And the more you can ship, the cheaper it
Yeah,
is.
there's a minimum ship weight.
Yes.
So they won't pick it up.
So we're concerned about that. It's terrible timing considering they were just here literally. But wanted to make you aware of the situation. The CRC does cost money to run and operate.
May I ask, like, is the volume the same and they're just not as tightly compressed, which is why
Exactly.
the weight is different? Okay.
Exactly. It's not compressing.
Do you have a ballpark or just a guess? What does it cost to run the CRC? How much, what's the dollar amount that we're subsidizing with?
I know a figure that's been thrown around. I don't know if we can fully back it up.
Between 100 and 200,000, I think.
Okay,
I've heard it basically is a negative of 200,000 a year.
okay.
See,
But
that's-
some of that, it's hard. I think maybe Nick might be, because what's the term? We kind of done some accounting magic too, to kind of minimize it. But I think if you look at it, and there was a time in the past that we wanted to do this for every facility, is get actual costs
Mhm.
of operations, so we can attach basically a cost per hour to every facility. So that we know, what we're talking about without doing the accounting magic to it.
That's why there's been lots of talk and discussion
Yeah.
about if we should continue to offer it.
Yeah.
It used to be a nonprofit, and I don't know what year the district took it over. But I mean, I would like to push it to becoming a nonprofit again.
Yeah,
I think it made more sense when the district offices were there at that same location, but now that we have,
I
Move to the
don't even think
transfer
it's made sense then. I mean, how much did it cost when we got that baler?
The new one was about 90,000, I think.
You know, so it's
5 years old, huh?
it's not that old. It was pre buying this, but it was not that old. You know,
We did buy it used though, right?
but we would have quite. the
Part of it was used, part of it
Yeah.
was new.
But I do think we should, start talking to people about turning it into a nonprofit.
tend to agree. Yeah.
They would have more opportunity for grants and such.
Last year, the CRC took in about 45,000 in revenue and had about 270,000 in expenses. So it operates at a loss of about 200,000, 230,000. So
I-
almost $250,000.
Exactly. Thanks, Nick. I thought you might have a little more solid figure you could, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
So I don't know. We want to put that on a future consideration to talk about the CLC.
There's aspects of it, like the cardboard, that make a lot of sense. Like if we were to throw that cardboard into our single stream, it might improve our contamination rates, but we're gonna be running to Salt Lake way more, so it'll increase our expenses. Cause the volumes of cardboard, and it's actually, I wouldn't necessarily say it's profitable, but it comes to being, out of everything that we do at the recycle center, is probably the closest to being profitable.
Right.
Even if we did turn the CORC into turn it over to a nonprofit, we could continue to do cardboard recycling. There's multiple ways. I mean, and really, I mean, and we've talking about in our future plannings of trying to do consolidations. I think the loss almost goes away. It's because we're operating at all these different facilities that we're doubling up on labor and overhead, and if we can get it all under, one roof, hypothetically, then, the operating cost drastically goes down.
Drastically. If we could consolidate, we could, less equipment to care for, less, probably a lot, less labor. We're debating on, do we shut the electric off up there, or,
Right.
things like that, but it's minor, but it would add up a little bit.
Sure.
That baler is 5 years old, if that's the Marin baler.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the fixed assets, and we bought it in April of 2019, thereabouts.
The bond date, Lily, Nick, and myself met with Alex from, Zions Corp. The numbers really just don't make sense. If we were to refinance now, we would only save approximately $4,000 a year, but we would be kicking the can down the road and paying a lot more in interest over the lifetime. To go through all that effort, it doesn't make sense at this point financially. I guess I kind of hoped and prayed, but it's all about the interest rates. They'd be 3 times the rate. The good thing is now that we've reached that 3-year, the call date, now that the door is open, we can address it anytime going forward. I was misinformed, or I misunderstood. I thought we had like a narrow window just this year. We don't. The call date has reached, and now we can discuss it further. According to Alex, there's plenty of institutions that are interested because they'd love to refinance our low interest rate with the interest rates now. The federal bank did not lower interest rates this month. They've been talking about it for a while. We'll know more, the next time they meet. Lily or Nick, anything to add to that?
Just what you had said, that there's only so many things can change in a bond. So if you were to refinance it, like you said, the interest rate would nearly triple. They would, add in the various costs, the bankers, which adds up to be about $100,000. So you're adding more expense. If we were to do that at some point, but again, like Mike said, it keys off the interest rate, and we've got a bond that's set in the 2s, and whereas the market is in the 6s and 7s, so it's a very favorable rate that we do have. We just need to be able to fund those payments as they come up twice a year.
Which, I mentioned it earlier, but that's the last thing on my list here. As you recall, basically, we need to set aside over 100,000 a month to, into the PTIF so that we can gain a little interest in order to pay our debt services. The yearly bond payment and to cover some of the equipment costs. The bond alone is just short of $960,000 a year. We've made, counting the one that's in the mail, 4 payments into the PTIF fund this year. As I mentioned, we paid some of the equipment payments out of pocket. So we're much closer to the equivalent of 5 PTIF payments. So financially speaking, we're on firmer ground. It's a relief to me. We're far from where we want to be or need to be, but it's a brighter future than I feared. In addition, in the next couple of years, we will be paying off some of the equipment. The BOMAG final payment is next year. And that'll be the last $54,000 payment we have to make for that. Now, of course,
What's the BOMAG?
it's the trash compactor. I'm sorry, at Klondike.
Okay.
A big deal about it.
It compacts the trash. Obviously, we really should be looking at replacement schedules for some of this equipment as we pay it off. The one good thing we've got going is we don't put a lot of hours on the equipment because we're not a large landfill. So normally every 5 to 7 years, you have to replace your equipment. We've got a little wiggle room in there, but we definitely have to work towards a true replacement schedule of equipment. But we are making progress. Baby steps, but we're making them. And unless you've got any questions, that's all I have today.
No questions from you?
No, thank you.
All right, Chris, you're up.
I'll just go through real quick kind of what's been going on. I'll just go through each facility. Klondike, we've been going back and forth with engineering group, helping us do some cell design. We should be getting our final design here in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna go take it out and put it in the reality test. After that, we'll submit it to the DEQ and hopefully be able to open our new cells at the end of this season. The transfer station here, we've been doing the same thing, going back and forth between DEQ and engineering group to do an updated operations plan. We haven't had an updated operations plan since 1998. The DEQ wasn't real happy with that. But I think we've got it kind of dialed in. There's just a couple little minor things, so I'll probably bring it to the board for approval next board meeting.
There is a lot Chris has been working on with the EQ and requirements that simply just didn't get done in previous administrations, previous forums, previous businesses. It's tedious and it's nerve-wracking.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that's here. The other thing is, you'll notice our metal pile's a lot smaller, but growing. They only left last week, I think, and we're already starting to get, so we cleared out our metal pile again. I think you should be getting a check from that in the next month. But
How big's the check?
it's about 80,000, I think, ish. That might be for a year, because we do them about twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yes.
I
think I can't.
don't want to throw a figure out. We definitely seem to get the best pricing with the vendor we're using right now compared, I mean, they were all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty significant. I think the smallest I've seen was 40,000 and the biggest was 120,000. It's hard to rate when you look at the size of the metal pile because of the metal that's contained in there. We actually started putting refrigerators in there because the metal company said that they could take them rather than burying them out at the landfill. which greatly increases the size because we get a lot of refrigerators. So it might be massive, but there's not a lot of metal in the refrigerators, so.
A lot of hollow space inside.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to predict from the size of the metal pile, how much we'll get. Up at, Moab landfill, we've, finished another lift and we kind of reset it. There was a rough, 2-3 weeks there where we, due to the lack of water, we were having a lot of customers get stuck. I was able to talk to Bill Jackson and shout out to the county road department for letting us use a water truck. And we were able to get up there and get some integrity back into the sewer. So that was good.
Getting stuck in the powder.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
In the working phase, it's just the material up there is just kind of basically sand. And it doesn't, when we come up, so every lift that we try to do, we try to mix other materials in there. This is like when we get our free fill and different types of materials, we kind of make a recipe, and it's nice when we can have a water truck to kind of get process it and get it compacted, and gives it some integrities for the customers to kind of come and go. Also helps protect their tires, which I'm sure they're grateful of. CRC, we moved our household hazardous waste from the recycle center over to here. We were having some issues with how we were handling the material, and over here we have more qualified people that can assist in the intakes of it. And that's all I got.
Chris, are we still getting, or in the last month, did we get some of that contaminated soil deposits from oil and gas?
Yes.
Is that still coming in?
Yes,
Great.
in fact, I need to talk with you. They've been harassing me, yeah. But anyways, yes, it's increasing.
It's
and
increasing,
yeah,
great.
And I hear rumors that it may be kind of a continued revenue source.
Great. Yeah.
that's since the acquisition, as y'all know, it changed the funding. We don't get much outside waste that is truly a revenue stream, because we're our biggest customer. So when we get stuff like this, this is such an influx of cash, of revenue, that it makes a huge difference.
It's great.
Now it's outside waste.
Don't start cheering for oil spills.
Well, a lot of this is coming from exploratory,
Oh, yeah.
drillings. It's a lot of what, I see, it's drill cuttings. Some of them are water-based, mud cuttings, and some of them are oil-based mud cuttings. Water-based is really easy. The oil-based takes some regulatory steps in order, a lot more paperwork.
All right, any other questions for Chris?
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Lily, something to you.
I've been working with AMCS trying to clear out accounts, so we needed like a zero balance to go from to correctly bill from in AMCS, and this has been a challenge for months now. I believe we met in early March about this, and we're still working through it. I think we're down to just these last few problem accounts. So I've given AMCS a hard deadline. We need to be in the system by August 1st. They think that is reasonable. I wanted to be in by August if we take over city billing as is currently planned, which would be billing for September. Since we bill in arrears, we would need to be in AMCS September 1st, which of course is a Sunday, and Labor Day is the 2nd. So I wanted to be in August 1st to just have a month to work out any future bugs that, if there are any, hopefully they aren't. But that's been a lot of time. I've also been catching up past due accounts in Terra Trash and for the landfills, which can be time consuming to go through and reach out to them. I haven't had time to pursue recouping the sales tax that we've already paid. I think that will be a goal once we have AMCS up and running. Well, I'd like to get that money back from the state. It makes the most sense to do it bulk move for 3 years, but to have the time to do that, AMCS is more important. In another small note, I finally gained ownership of the Google accounts for all of the Canyonland sites. So we could mainly update our phone number and soon the hours. This was challenging because Evan Tyrell owned them on his personal Gmail account. And it took a lot to get, but after requesting it through Google several times, I finally just sent him an email and he responded about a week later. I never worked with him. I don't know a lot, but I'm glad that that's done. I also, the previous main line for the landfill, I now have a recording saying call our main line, which is the 6314 phone number. It was really hard to have two pathways of people to call, and now we just have him calling the one pathway. Was the goal.
Still merging in all the others,
Yes.
2.5 years later. Wow.
Yeah, we had our annual financial audit, mid-May. Maybe Nick will speak to this. I think it went pretty smoothly. The auditors are here for, was it a day and a half, 2 days?
They didn't interview me. They usually interview me.
I know.
All my windows are open.
I know, it looks quite windy outside. There will be some interviews. I was told I would be interviewed and I have not been interviewed yet, so I'm not sure what still needs to
Well,
be
they
wrapped
usually
up.
do it while they're here.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
They said
That's
it would
already
be done
too
over
late.
the phone, but it was all positive coming back from the auditors. They believe they said 2023 was the best year yet,
Yes.
which I had nothing to do with 2023, but I'm grateful it went well. So hopefully 2024 will continue
Great.
with that upswing. That's all I have.
And then with the influx of the city billing coming in, is there still talk of hiring somebody?
We
Bringing on
haven't
somebody?
really talked about that, how we import the data. Savannah and I need to talk with Marcy more about that, like how we'll be able to import the data. We can't put it into both systems, so I've been focusing more on making sure AMCS will be functional and
yeah.
just get it into that system. I mean, contingency plans, we're obviously planning for it, but if we're billing out of TerraTrash come September, it will be manually updating each of these accounts. I don't know of a way. We can reach out to the TerraTrash software people to see if there would be a way for them to import it. The challenge with the city billing is the city has their own unique account numbers and we have our own unique account numbers. So I'm not sure how it will go importing those. I was waiting for the interlocal agreement to be finalized before seeking out. I mean, we know this is coming, but,
Yeah.
and Marcy's been willing, but haven't reached out yet.
Okay, great.
It's a good question.
It's gonna be, yeah.
Okay. Questions for Lily? Thanks. Excellent. Jessica?
I won't take too much time. The main bulk of my work lately has been the educational and outreach on the operational changes. That's the change in hours, the glass being removed from single stream, the removal of antifreeze collection from the CRC, as well as the full movement of the HHW program over here, which is actually complete. We are not, like they've already said. I've been stickering the community boards, both online and physically. We did a direct mailer. I just submitted that not too long ago. Ordered decals that have updated information to place on every single stream that we have. And this is a full letter size. This will be a big, massive sticker that if you missed it, I'm so sorry. So I attended the RCU board meeting. We have one every month. We're actually in the process of currently planning the fall conference, and we are going to be extending a invitation to Gillette to actually come up and do a mayor's panel, because they don't have a lot of rural and especially tourism-based cities input when it comes to these sort of things. So I felt it would be nice to have Moab come in and do a voice, because they bring in Midvale and Salt Lake City and, all these big places that are managed by large companies. So I thought it would be good to have our input in there.
Sorry, the RCU conference, are we hosting that? Again, or
No, this is the fall conference. It's going to be in Sandy.
Sandy?
They are actively talking about having the spring one here.
Okay.
So it's going to be between here and St. George. They haven't decided yet.
I remember we posted it in the past, or well, was here in Moab anyway.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out whether they want to do St. George or here. We are signed up to be in the 4th of July parade. So it'll be fun. And then last but not least, I am currently drafting an article for the July sustainable happenings and Moab happenings with a specific focus on the glass removal for single stream. So I'm exploring every single avenue I can on this glass removal.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Any questions?
Should put together a lot of stuff this month that turned out really well. A lot of handouts and flyers and whatnot.
I've seen some of it on the Facebook page and
Yeah, Facebook page, newspaper, community boards, handing them out. Well, I mean, they're everywhere. I could think to put them.
Cool.
I don't know where else to go at this point, except for going to Bridgeport, which I've done before.
I hope it doesn't come to that.
I don't want it to come to that. It's a long day.
Okay. I guess you're up, Nick.
Great. Again, just echoing off what Lily touched on there with the audit, hats off to the district and the staff and the board for another successful audit period. The audits happen each year. Let's see, 5 years ago, when I first was involved, I think they took 3.5 days. And it's still, the time requirement by the auditors on site is declined over the last 5 years. So that's a good sign. This most recent one was essentially a day and a half, just under 2 days. So they were able to come in, do what they needed to do. And so again, thanks to the district and the staff and everyone for way things are shaping out, and hopefully they'll have the audit report out by the end of the month. So I submitted some stuff to them. So there might be a few things coming up over the next week or so that they may inquire about, but I think we're on track for that audit report to come out. Working on getting the budget into QuickBooks. I had to table that for a little bit, but I want to get back onto that, and so that we'll at some of these board meetings we'll be able to look at the actual P&Ls, and we can discuss items on those. So again, yeah, the major focus was the audit, and again, thank you everyone for that being a successful task that happened. And that's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Any questions for Nick? All right. If not, we'll move on to item D, which is board reports. Anybody? Tom?
I have nothing to report.
Mary?
We're losing our county administrator, which I'm very sad about. She's moving to the Denver area. And she hasn't been, it's been the last year and a half have been very hard on her. Change of mission. One reason she left.
Well, I don't have anything to report either, so we'll move on. Item E, special population service discount. Who's that?
Our two absent board members did each weigh on this, one for and one against this proposal. From the numbers given out to me by the county treasurer, we're talking about exactly 200 households, or 187 households. So based on the increased pricing that will affect the city, in total, this could be about $1,246 that we would be losing in revenue.
What?
Per month?
If we offered the
How much?
discount
It's up for a month?
per month, so like $1,200 a month
$1,200
is what, offering a 30% service discount to residents that meet the criteria for Grand County's tax abatement program would cost us. It comes with some assumptions because I don't have names for these individuals. So if we only offer it for residential, they're residential, but only for a 96-gallon trash cart, that's where I'm getting this $1,200 number. there are residences that have 2 yards, which is considered a commercial container. I would not be in favor of offering a discount for that. We did speak with another utility-based special service district in the area, and they do not offer service discounts. And they said, as a local government, it would be considered favoritism and said it would be illegal. But we're the government, and I think we write our own rules. I haven't found a specific statute that would forbid us from doing this. I mean, even
Now,
Rocky
who told you it was illegal?
Grand Water and Sewer. This is from Savannah. I did not speak with them.
Okay.
This is page 17 of the board packet if you're looking for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's where I got the estimated numbers from, was assuming they were all 96-gallon carts. And this would be the $8 per month difference between the 2023 and 2024 pricing for the county and the $6 a month difference for city residents. So Chris Kaufman said he would be more willing to give out names to me if the board approved this, just citing residents' privacies. But I would put it out that, you know, if you currently qualify for this program, show us that documentation, and that's when we would implement this discount.
Yeah, and so it's on the mechanism is on them for reaching out to us and.
Yeah, it would take some outreach again, so I would need to coordinate with Jessica to get word out that this is being offered. So it wouldn't be a blanket senior discount or, you know, disability discount. It would just be the specific criteria that's outlined, which is, in total, you know, 187 households within Grand County.
And is that what I was confused? Diane said in her email, she used the term unethical. Is that,
I don't remember her specific terminology.
is that what she's talking about? What you were just referencing with what maybe Grand Water and Sewer was
I
also saying?
let me-
Did you read her? Yeah.
I did read it, but I don't remember the
I think a
specific.
call to LeGrand Bidder would just answer this question right away.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
guy that's in
that's-
charge of the Council of Special Service
We
Districts up
did
there.
not renew
Okay.
our 2024 membership for the Utah Association of Special Service Districts.
Oh.
because it would be
They'd probably
$7,000.
charge us a time and material or something, and he's a pretty nice guy, so.
He's over,
Okay.
I can call him.
Okay.
I have him on the phone number. I have him on my speed dial.
He's
Yeah.
way helpful.
He is, he's
about
really
questions
nice.
like this.
So, send me exact wording for the question and I will contact him. And I think we should find this out before we move forward. So I would recommend that we move this item to the next agenda until we find out about some of that, until we know.
That's great. Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we move item E, the special population service discount to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Thanks, Colin. Is there any discussion? I have a question, but you guys have anything else?
And do call me with the exact question, so I won't,
I'll
get it
email it to
right,
you.
and
Will that work to email it to you, so you'll have it written down?
When you first brought this to us, we had just raised our rates and people were complaining. Have you continued to get more complaints, or is it just?
I think county residents are used to it by now, 6 months in. When we take over city billing with city residents, I think it will start again. Also with the city, it not being an option. And with how the interlocal agreement is written, that they only have the option to change their service once a year, with the next opportunity being July 2025. I think, and that they currently cannot opt out now because it used to be February and October. And now with this new agreement, it's not for a whole nother calendar year.
Assuming we pass it.
Assuming it's passed, I agree with Diane that, you know, there are ways to limit your trash bill by how much waste we generate is directly linked to our choices. I mean, obviously there are people with medical conditions, there are some outliers for this, but I think for the broad majority, our output is directly related to lifestyle choices, but it's hard to take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Something we can
Okay,
discuss.
any other discussion on this?
I
Okay,
think
well,
we
I'll
need, we have
vote.
to have that answer.
Yeah.
before we go.
All right, yeah, I'll answer that in my vote. So Mary, how do you vote?
To postpone it?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, good, yeah, for the motion, yeah, to postpone.
Yes.
Collins, me too. Motion passes 3-0. We'll pick it up next month. Next is item F, PTIF Public Entity Resolution to amend authorized PTIF account users.
So this came up for me when I was making the payment, the transfer from the PTIF to the bond payment for this year. A lot of information on the site is outdated, including the mailing address and the phone number. I cannot update this. Mary, you are the only current authorized user. Kaylin is still on there. So I was suggesting that the board appoint an authorized user that is a staff member, so we can do it to lessen things that you have to do.
Yeah.
And to allow, whether it be myself or Mike, just someone in-house, a form will have to be notarized with you. So it will be a little bit of work, but
Oh, that's fine.
if it's passed to one of us, I thought it-
It'd be a lot easier than me. I was always quite the organization, the time scheduling to have them there on the phone and me there and everything. So it seems like it would be, I think, now I'll ask you, I'm wondering if it will. I'm thinking maybe the clerk would be a good choice,
okay, I'm fine with it.
just because that's,
What I did previously.
yeah, you're being the clerk and that seems to be more of a clerk job.
Okay.
And then it helps keep Mike out of that. Where I just think that's good for you
Yeah, good
visually,
point.
to not be doing any of that money stuff. So that's who I would recommend that we put, just Jessica, or with Jessica and me, are we gonna have more than one
I
option?
think it would be, you would remain on it, but adding Jessica could then remove Kaylin and update all of these things that are.
So get a hold of me. I make a motion that we, I,
Do you want me to highlight that? It's right here, motion to appoint, and then. you
okay,
just say that.
I make a motion to appoint Jessica Thacker as
District clerk.
the district.
Just
clerk.
do the district clerk rather than a name.
That is a much better idea. Thank you. for
Yeah.
Catching that.
Just do the district clerk.
That way we're, motion to appoint district clerk as the authorized user to maintain correct information on solid waste special services district number 1 PTIF account.
Second. Mary.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Colin. Any discussion? No, I'll call for a vote. Colin?
Aye.
Mary?
Yes.
Chad votes yes. Motion passes 3-0. Congratulations, Jessica. New district clerk.
There you go.
All right, item G, election of board officers. We have an open, technically we have two open, well, we have an open chair seat. I have the vice chair and have been serving as the interim chair.
Well, I make a motion to appoint Chad Harris as chair and Mike Dunaway as vice chair.
Well done.
Really?
Or do you want to switch it around? I think it's kind of hard to put somebody that's never been on it. You don't want to, you can say no.
Well, I have a different motion that I would. But there is a motion on the floor, so. do we-
I'd like to second that.
What was your motion?
I was gonna suggest that Colin would be a good vice chair. Cause Mike, I mean, mostly because Mike he's totally new. He doesn't know what he's gotten himself into yet.
Well, I guess,
All the better.
He said he's gonna watch this tonight.
He's gonna, yeah, he's gonna love this. This shows our confidence in Mike.
well,
Has anybody
I
spoken
will
to him about this?
amend my motion
Well, I don't know.
to appoint Chad Harris as chair and wait until Mike Dunaway is here to appoint him. Or to see how he feels. I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, you're not allowed, but Diane wants off the board. From what I understand, so.
Diane does.
I think so, yeah, she's after the end of her term, which
I-
is.
This year,
And I think we should redo the bylaws before then.
it's on my list.
It make just, even if it's that part, so that it doesn't have to be from Castle Valley. We had
Yeah.
such a hard
That's a
time.
great, yeah.
It's really hard to get somebody from Castle Valley. So I would like to say Castle Valley, or just do it at large. Let's not specify an area of the town. So,
Okay, well, I guess there's a new motion.
I'll second that.
you know, second the amended motion.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Colin.
Yep.
Any discussion? I didn't, my comment in the discussion is I didn't think you were serious when you were talking.
Oh, I was like, oh, okay.
I thought that was a joke, but
No,
Mike will be a great vice chair.
the vice chair is pretty easy job. You were vice chair for a while.
it's like a month and a half, yeah. I loved it. That was a great month and a half.
That was a great, yeah. Well, you can call Kevin Fitzgerald. He was vice chair for years.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I guess I would call for a vote. Colin,
Aye.
Mary,
aye.
Chad votes no, because I believe we have too many unanimous votes on this board. The motion passes 2-0 or 2-1. All right. Item F. No, where are we at? Item H, capital purchase of chassis for roll-off truck. Is this what you were telling me about yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Little over a month ago, truck 100 developed a massive oil leak. And of course, it was traveling to, basically Colorado, stop Westwater. The truck had to be towed back to Moab. After inspection, it was confirmed that the vehicle had lost all oil and the motor had seized up. That vehicle's from 1991 and a new motor would cost well over $10,000 plus the labor. This is one of our smaller trucks. Our smaller trucks, I've tried to explain this, have a unique and outdated winch system. You cannot go out and buy a truck like this. You can't rent a truck like this. You have to have it fabricated. The district does own a brand new replacement winch system that Dan had purchased and was kind enough to leave here when he sold the company. It's been sitting in the yard since it was delivered. We looked at it today and it was made in 2018, so it's been sitting out there 6 years. Our current running trucks of that size, what we call the smaller roll-offs, are from 93 and 97. And are of major concerns for breakdowns. Of the three trucks, 100 was the best truck, of course. As a matter of fact, as of this morning, we red tagged 102, because it doesn't have much power. It's extremely hot. When it became a mainline truck, we immediately got nervous. Our current workload requires that we keep at least 2 of these trucks running. Basically for distance. We can't be on the Colorado border and down at Needles in the same day. If we do those 2, then we get nothing else done. And if we don't have 2 trucks running, we risk great delays and possibly forcing ourselves out of contract compliance. One of our biggest customers, BLM, requires 48 hours, which is fair. 48 hours from the time they call to service the account. We have to do something. We can't, hope and pray on this one.
So I'm taking it, this is not within budget.
No, absolutely not in budget. What I'm asking is the board, we're looking, what we're trying to do. We're trying to do this as cheaply as possible. You can buy cab and chassis. I brought some visual. I thought it might help after talking to you on the phone yesterday. This is what all the trucks look like before, whatever they turn them into, be it a box truck, a garbage truck, or whatever. You can buy a used one of these in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. They would be much newer than 1997, less miles, less hours, more modern. Working, air conditioned, you know, things like that,
And a non-seized engine.
and a non-seized engine. This, if you can see it, is the winch system out in the yard. It basically goes on the back here. It does take some plumbing. Hydraulics need to be added, that type of thing, make sure all the hoses and everything hook up. But it is possible to create this wonderful system. We're concerned that the winch system from sitting out there, some things might need to be repaired on it just from sitting out in the sun for 6 years.
Yeah, the sun is very brutal.
But we won't know that till we actually start on it. So what I'm asking is for permission to go out and find a used cab and chassis. Which would be in the $40,000 to $50,000 range probably. I'm asking that we have permission to purchase up to $75,000 because there will be additional expenses after the cab and chassis to put this all together. So rather than come back for a few $1,000s or even tie up the time discussing it, all in one $75,000 to put a more modern truck on the road. This, and I am hesitant to go down this, but this is kicking the can down the road. We have 4 trucks that we need to keep running for roll off, 2 different sizes, 2 for each. We really probably should have 5, if not 6, because you want to back up for each one.
And they have 2 different types of winch systems.
2 different systems. The bigger trucks are more modern. You can go out and rent them like we did, like we are now. It's kind of confusing. You have to see the hooks to understand it 100%. The smaller trucks are better on fuel. They do get into tighter places. The real answer is converting all the smaller boxes, containers to fit the bigger truck. We've got a rough estimate of well over $100,000 to do that. It's probably a 6-month process because you can't fix them all at once. We're getting a second option as we speak. Actually, that's just from one of the local welders. Levi went to the company 5-star that we bought our containers from last and explained the predicament. And he thinks he could come up with basically a frame that our boxes would fit in. And then you just weld the new system in place. They probably can do it cheaper because that's what they do. They produce containers one after the other. Again, it would be a long process. That is the ultimate answer. We would have 3 trucks running that all fit the same size container. You don't have to, we lose a lot of efficiency where we have to come back to the yard and switch trucks.
So,
But I just want to get it out there. This isn't fixing the real problem. This is another really big Band-Aid to our bigger issues.
But we can convert this. So if we did this truck, we could convert this truck to the newer system.
Okay.
And just to reiterate too, is that these trucks, we had 3, we're down to 1. This is, like Mike said, BLM, like this is a huge, we can't fail here.
Yeah,
And we're gambling every day that we go out.
got it.
We got 1 truck left and it's not a place we want to be.
and you think this is the best path forward at this time?
It's really our only path forward. other than going out and buying a new truck and then having another winch system fabricated to fit that new truck.
Well, I make a motion to approve the purchase of a used casting and frame to replace truck 100 up to the amount of $75,000.
I'll second that, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Would be nice if we were spending the $75,000 on just converting over to a new system, but it sounds like we got us over a barrel. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's, I hate to say this, but this is the kind of stuff that we just, it's keeping us from getting ahead, right? Like,
Yeah.
We're constantly
It's exactly the
fighting
kind of
this
stuff.
old equipment that's just gonna keep dragging us down, and it's
Yeah, I
gonna be tough to
think-
get ahead, but. I mean, if, you know, we can switch over to a single winch system for all the trucks. It'd be nicer to spend that 75,000 on that. Anyway,
But like Mike was saying, it's so spread out.
yeah,
It would, you know, it's just undoable in a short period of time.
right, we didn't know, now we don't have that luxury of time.
Yeah, and it's even, I mean, yeah, I can't emphasize the fact that this thing goes down, we're in such a bad place because. You know, these national parks and everything, they're just, you know,
Right.
especially in the season now too.
Oh,
The smaller trucks service probably 85% of our containers.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
Yeah.
Realistically, buying the truck and getting the winch system on, getting it into service, what kind of timeline are we talking about? No, there's some real unknowns there, but.
There is, and we even have another backup system, so Levi's working on another solution. This one, we've sent the information out because we're so far behind in our own stuff to try to have us do this, so we're looking at a third party to be able to do this, and that's where the extra money on top of the purchase of the truck would come from.
Okay,
It's just a third party, you know, explain the situation and the dire need of it, you know, and just try to get it done.
okay.
anybody else in the discussion?
No more.
Okay, call for a vote. Mary,
Yes.
on,
Aye.
Chad votes yes, motion passes 3-0. Where are we at?
Bonnie.
Item I, review 2023 and 2024 fraud risk assessment.
That would be me again. This was brought up in the audit, that was done in May. There are things just to do with the state auditor's office to maintain transparency, and one of them is a fraud risk analysis. One had not been done for 2023, and the auditors recommended we do 2023 and 2024 concurrently, just so this wouldn't come up again in next year's audit. In going through the questionnaire, Mike and I, we're in the high risk level. There are some items that we could mitigate in 2024 to reduce the risk level. These would be to revise policies and procedures, to adopt policies related to reporting fraud and abuse, for credit card purchasing, IT and computer security, and cash receipting and depositing. These are mentioned in the employee handbook, but it has changed. You know, for cash depositing, it's saying that the gatehouse attendant will take the money to the bank. That is not our procedures anymore. So I would recommend that the board approve the 2023 fraud risk assessment, and we postpone approving 2024s until later this year.
But we don't do house it put on here.
Oh, how is it put on?
Oh, yeah, so. Okay, so I would make a motion that we accept the fraud assessment, risk assessment for the year of 2023 and postpone the fraud risk assessment for 2024 for later on this year.
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
Since I rolled a second it. You make the motion, I second it. Or
I always thought,
keep beating me to it, yeah.
well, I can slow down. I just always think of meeting goes faster. If you jump on so much. I like short meetings.
What,
Believe it or
I
not.
do, what is it gonna cost us to implement these changes?
Just my time.
Just your time?
I would say just my time. I've wanted to redo the employee manual to bring it up to date or?
Time is unlimited and free, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm salaried. Not really. I don't want to keep putting things off till the fall, but I really feel once AMCS is functional, which seems like we're very close, it will free up, so much time. I don't want to say what I do is busy work, but, you know, to invoice charge accounts, you know, the tickets are input by Jessica into a tracker. We then input them into QuickBooks. We then email statements. It's, you know, to account for each unique item that's, you know, brought to us, which we need for our financial reporting, is very time consuming. And with AMCS, that'll be done at the time of we take it with the gatehouse attendant.
Okay, count on AMCS. All right, any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Colin?
Aye.
Mary?
Yes.
Chad votes yes, motion passes 3-0. Let's see. Item J, enforcement of Grand County Resolution 3230.
I make the packet, so I end up just doing it all. I don't need to be the one to speak on this, but Grand County Resolution 3230, if you haven't read it, it's exclusive. So the landfills here, the waste that Grand County generates is to remain within Grand County. And it's come to our attention that a few of the builds, like the large hotel build right down by what is that, like where Holyoke comes down, but maybe by Mill Creek,
Right,
they're
right.
using a different company that's hauling it out of Grand County and not utilizing us,
Oh,
How is
which
that?
would be in violation.
that
Yeah,
would be a violation.
yeah.
But how do we enforce this? So I was thinking perhaps we could brainstorm ideas to work with. the
Oh, I
building
would think,
department.
okay, do they know?
Probably not.
I think the first thing to do is say, do you realize that you are violating a resolution of Grand County that you cannot take, that you have to trash produced in Grand County needs to remain in Grand County? And then if they say, oh, we didn't know that. And then if they say, well, it's gonna be cost about, if you get that kind of answer, then we have to redecide. Then we'd have to decide how to move forward. But I think the first thing is to just call them and tell them that they're out of compliance.
The hotel is mostly built already. So maybe this is moot. I don't know if the building department could at least like notify, you know, when these hotels come in that we have this resolution. I also don't know how to enforce county resolutions. Like what authority do we have the authority as?
It would be a county thing. And we did that because,
Max Landfall.
Should leave over.
Dan was going to take off his stuff out, and that's why he finally ended up, which would have bankrupt. Yeah, so that's why we had to do it. So, but I would just call them and ask them, and then maybe they'll do the rest that way. Otherwise, let's wait till we get into the administrator and talk to them.
Why are people hauling outside of Grand County? Is that, I mean, can you really find it?
I think it's happening. The hotel is the big example. There's been a couple of roof jobs here and there. I think a lot of times it's a contractor from somewhere else that they call the person that they're used to calling. X company handles me in price, so I'm calling X company. And
We probably need the planning department to know about it in both cases,
Yeah,
so that when somebody comes in to bill, they can, that can be right there on it, that your waste has to. Cause that will be an easy fix.
okay.
We've actually tried to do that, and I think it'd be another good push if we could just give like an information pamphlet that would go over, like the resolution would go over the restrictions on demolition, so we don't get people up there, you know, doing demos and we can't accept it because they haven't done their asbestos testing. Like there's like, just like a little information packet would be nice to hand out to customers beforehand. Cause a lot of times by the time they're ready to dispose of stuff, they're done and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
So I like that idea.
Yeah,
And
get
we've
it, so
tried it
when they
before.
go into the planning department to get the permits to do these things, they're given that information. That's,
I think that's.
oh, Jessica, guess what?
Yeah, I know. This is actually something I had originally started designing prior or leading up to the acquisition, especially when we started generating the kind of the momentum behind 3230. But yeah, and also with the changes in leadership happening in the planning department, they probably just don't know anymore.
Oh, Gosh, and that was just like one of those things. that
And then the
was-
change.
A lot of people were like, oh, well, this didn't mean anything when it was passed by the majority of the commission.
Yeah,
When we were discussing it and getting it worked out, it was a big deal.
yeah.
Joel and Evan didn't get along.
That's an understatement.
They didn't play
Why
well
we
the
don't
same
have,
ball.
that's why we don't have one with the city.
Mhm.
So we're pushing to try to get this resolution with the city as well. I would have actually liked to seen this included in our interlocal agreement, just acknowledging it.
Yeah,
Since the city is contained within Grand County, would this still apply?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a debate I'm not gonna get into, who's
Yeah.
push and shove with the city and the county.
Well, I think Joette would be up to this. I don't think this would be a big deal for this commission. It was two young men with power plays going on when Joel and Evan were working on it.
Okay, I guess we don't need a motion for that one. Okay, item K, review and accept proposed interlocal agreement with the city of Moab.
And that's an action item?
Discussion action.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Should I make them separate?
I know. Okay, no, that's fine. I just didn't look well.
Mike, is this you or is this?
It's not me.
Yes, major points, this is a long-term agreement, something I really wanted from day one. For two reasons. One, it can help us financially. It's kind of like collateral if you have a long-term agreement in place. Two, it reemphasizes that we're a government entity, that we're not a
They're not.
a corporation that is constantly looking to re-up these. It's 10-year, with a 10-year renewal. First 5 years are laid out as far as price increases for commercial and residential. We do get back the 6% administration fee. I think it's a fair agreement. The city did approve it narrowly, 3-2. Colin spoke for us quite eloquently.
Taylor and Myers.
Huh?
Taylor and Myers.
Jason and Caitlin.
They had some concerns that because we weren't, the city wasn't officially putting it out for a bid, that they were they doing their due diligence? I think, again, that gets back to the fact that you're dealing with a government agency that's right here, a phone call away. We're not a corporation regionally meeting in Denver or wherever, where the general manager comes down twice a year. It's developing a long-term relationship, between the two entities, which is the big outcome of this that I really, really hope for. We are raising the city rates, equivalent to what we raised the county rates, around 30% first year. Again, fair as we can be. Is it perfect? No, but I don't think any of them will be. We got a lot of things straight. There were a lot of the city services to the city buildings that the services had changed, but the rates were stuck because we didn't have this, communication with the city, a relationship. No one wanted to open the contract. I kind of thought that was a bit of an excuse, but I wasn't here when some of these stuff happened. But overall, I think it's a good agreement. We got rid of the single stream without much fanfare.
You mean the glass?
Glass in the.
I'm sorry, single stream, the glass in the single stream. I should be careful what I say.
yeah.
Wow. We did reduce the opt out and opt in from twice to once a year. I really did that as a practicality. The less time you change service, the less opportunity for billing errors, for service errors. The less that the drivers have to relearn, people are changing. I thought once a year was fair. Got a little pushback from that. In this agreement, it does eliminate the 65s going forward. Grandfathers in the people that have it now. I am getting some wavering from, the city administrator on that maybe we should look at that. I did get a quote for 200. I provided the city. This is what it would cost and it would probably last the 10 years of the first contract. If we ordered 200 of them. Because the city's not growing, we're not putting, it's really just swapping them in and out and people reducing service. We're not putting them out on the street every day with a new house. Limited amount of growth. You ordered a whole truckload of 65s. They would sit here a long time. That's the other thing. We have troubles just keeping up with the 96s. The cost to the district of different sizes, it sends up the cost of the cards. Any questions? It's all in here. We're going up $6 per home the first year, and then $2 every year after that. Definitely raised the city for their own services. Got that up where it should be, while still giving them a volume break. They are half of our customer base. So there is some volume there. It is cheaper to go home to home than it is to drive all out through the county. So there should be some difference. I mean, it just makes sense, really. Any questions?
I make a motion to, it's your turn, it's your turn. It's not on the recommended.
I would make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between the solid waste district and the city of Mott.
Second,
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Mary. Any discussion? I think my reading is that it's a pretty good agreement. It's not everything we wanted, but
it's always a give and take.
it's always a give and take. I was a little miffed that city council approved it before we had a chance to approve it. That would have been a more
Yeah,
conventional way to go about things.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's kind of nice it got done.
yeah, it's good to have that off your shoulders.
yeah, it is, rough figures, $200,000 in new revenue. Which helps
I'll almost pay for the CRC.
for a year.
Perspective, doesn't it?
You know, I know I'm the only one that always brings it up, but I'm really
supportive of that too.
we're looking at it and saying, we have a year, we would like to have the recycle center taken over by a nonprofit, and we're giving 2 years for that to happen.
Kind of getting a little bit off track from our
Yeah.
motion on the floor. So is there any other discussion? That'll call for a vote. Mary,
Yes.
Colin? Chad votes yes as well. Motion passes 3-0. Item L, Executive Director as signer of district bank accounts.
So this might be a crazy idea I had, but I don't want to say it's been a challenge, but it's been a lot, I think, for the three of you to be the ones to sign checks every
We're
other
gonna
week.
get Mike on.
Yeah, so we'll have we'll have a fourth then, and Diane did come in, which was very appreciated. But I was thinking we would still have the same number of people approving the process, and if we added the executive director as a signer on the checks, it would reduce the number of times board members would have to come in to about, once every 10 weeks or about once a quarter.
I would ask, our auditors what they think of it, because I think we asked them once before and they were that was not a good idea. They just really think that the fraud risk of,
Yeah, there's probably a reason that the
yeah,
director
and
is not. I don't know what the reason is, but that's the auditors.
Yeah,
so, I see your thing, and we've talked about this before, because it can be a pain
Yeah,
getting a hold of us, and most of the time, one of us can come in, but every once in a while, we're all out of town.
but even to get that second, because I'm not supposed to send out any checks without two signatures. So, that's just what I was thinking, was just trying to ease operations, ease the flow and reduce the burden, the time commitment on the members. But I definitely agree. I had not considered reaching out to the auditors.
Reach out to them, because I believe we did
Yeah.
that before, and they said no. And if they say yes, well, then let's bring it up in the next meeting and discuss it further. We will have it seems like we've been running a person short for quite a few months too.
Yes.
So we might find a lot difference once Mike comes on board.
That'd be nice.
And I think him being in Moab, I definitely understand it is a challenge for Diane to come to Moab just to sign checks.
Yeah.
all right. Do we have to make a motion to table it, or do we just decide to table that?
Oh, that was just a discussion. It wasn't an
Oh,
action.
okay, great. Well, then we'll talk about it next time. Next item is item N. The next meeting is scheduled for July 17th. Mark your calendars. And item N is, if there's no other discussion, I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you all.
FYI, I didn't mention it, but I will be out of town the week of